Welcome to today's broadcast of North Idaho College Public Forum. The crew is comprised of NIC television students, and your moderator is North Idaho College political scientist Tony Stewart.
Our discussion today involves the Centennial of Idaho. As you know, throughout the Northwest in the last couple of years, several states have been celebrating their 100th birthday, and we particularly wanted to do this program for our viewers in other states and in Canada, and we'd like to invite you to come to North Idaho in particular and be with us as we plan a lot of activities that we would like to have you as our guest. In today's program, we're going to talk about North Idaho's events during the Centennial, and at a later time, we're going to discuss with you other things throughout Idaho when we have a representative from the State Centennial Commission. But today, it's my pleasure to introduce to you on the program Mary Wagner, who is the Kootenai County Centennial Coordinator. And with her is a member of the County Commission, actually one of our commissioners of Kootenai County, Evelyn Adams. And we're so pleased to have both of you. And Evelyn Adams has been very involved from the historical perspective of creating this committee, and Mary Nail's in that position of administrator. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy, as always, to have Janelle Burke, who is an attorney in Idaho, as a regular panelist, and I shall invite Janelle to commence the questioning.
Well, Mary, I know there are going to be many wonderful events this summer, but can you briefly tell us what are we celebrating?
Well, we're celebrating the fact that 100 years ago on July 3rd, 1890, Idaho became the 43rd state in the Union.
And some of the other states that were around us have also celebrated centennials recently.
Right. Washington and Montana and the two Dakotas celebrated last year, and then Wyoming and Idaho will celebrate in 1990. And the plans for those celebrations actually began 3 and 4 years ago with a series of 6 state caucuses. So the great C word, centennial, has been floating around here now for four years or so, and people are somewhat confused, I think, on who is celebrating when. But 1990 is Idaho's centennial year.
And are there any more after us, or are we the last?
Well, of course, Hawaii, I remember, came in
Yeah.
that I know of, but I'm not quite sure what the
We're
next
the
one
last
is.
in the group.
We're the last in that group of 6,
And Evelyn, some of our plans have been going on in Kootenai County for quite a while, so can you tell us a little background of the Kootenai County celebration?
I can, and I want to tell everyone how excited we are that our centennial year is finally here. When the State Commission was formed for the Centennial, they asked each county board of commissioners to coordinate the centennial activities in their own counties. And I somehow volunteered to be the part of the commissioner that would organize, because I guess that I could see how exciting it would be. I was born in Idaho, and I just could get excited thinking about it. So I initiated our county centennial meetings by inviting representatives from every city, and to send an elected official and then representatives from the cities to attend the first meeting, and that actually was held 3.5 years ago. And out of that, we had monthly meetings that I conducted, and we'd mail out notices from the county. And through that effort, we had a chairman emerge, Bob Nelson, who has done a wonderful job in working for these many different projects and events. And about a little over a year ago, we hired our coordinator, Mary Wagner, who has just been such capable help, because we have an outstanding array of projects and events that are happening this year. And it's just wonderful that we can invite people to come in and join with us.
Well, this whole process is so exciting, and I would like to give us a little bit more background on the Kootenai County Committee, and as Evelyn has indicated that the county is involved in. I know there are people who want to contact the office, and we need to notify where it is and the telephone number. We're going to get into the events, but then there's going to be things left out and in 30 minutes, and so they can contact you. So before we get too far into the program and forget this later, Mary, would you tell us where you are located and your phone number?
Sure. We're located in the Convention and Visitors Bureau office in Coeur d'Alene on the 3rd floor up above the Chamber, which is right across the street from the Coeur d'Alene Resort. And the phone number in Idaho is 664-0587. If anybody wants to call from out of the state, it's 1-800 and then the letters CDA and the number 4YOU. Okay.
Oh, well, that's very clever.
And what's encouraging, Tony, is we are getting a lot of calls now just in the last month or so since the calendar turned of volunteers wanting to know how they can be involved. And it's that volunteer effort that's making the Centennial what it is. Without volunteers like Evelyn and Bob Nelson and the other people, we would not have the wonderful array of projects and celebrations that are being planned.
You're a very typical administrator. I was talking about those who want to call to find out about events, and you're already asking for volunteers, which is great. But I know you need help. So I guess we're saying two things here. One is that those people in our area can call to volunteer to help you in the office. And come in and you can talk about what they fit in the best. But then those who want to come to events can also call your office, and you have a calendar and can tell them what's happening. Or if they already have a trip planned, you can tell them what's going on. I would like to get into some of the events. I have a brochure here that you were kind enough to give me, and as we can see, every month things are happening. And as you indicated, there's also that big day, July the 3rd, when there'll be some very special things happening. If you don't mind, Mary, let's start with picking out some major events in different months that you'd like to share with our viewers.
Our official kickoff is in April, and that's Fort Sherman Days, which was an already existing celebration at NIC, and we've expanded it from 1 day to 2. It'll start on April 20th with some festivities and dedication of the NIC grounds as former Fort Sherman and the center of activity for socializing and information in Kootenai County.
Do you mind if I interject there?
Yeah, no.
I have a bias here. What we're going to do, we've worked at the college with the Fort Sherman's committee on campus, what you're talking about. And what we've agreed to do, and we haven't communicated as well with you as we should, we're going to start on April 16th, which is Monday, and we're going to have an entire week symposium from an old group called the North Idaho College Popcorn Forum. And our topic all week is going to be conflict, hostility, or harmony. And we have national speakers coming in to discuss the problems in crime. We're going to discuss one day conflict in education, one day religion, and one day the family. And then on Friday, when you're talking about kicking that off, we're having an all-day town meeting for the citizens to talk about how do we use certain mechanisms in resolving conflict. And right in the middle of that town meeting, there will be a kickoff of the Fort Sherman Days. And the chair of that committee told me today that major music groups and all are coming in. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, that's fine. I knew that was in the works, and we've got so many things going on. It's nice to know how they all dovetail together. But we do have the Spokane Falls Brass Band giving us a concert at noon. We'll have an old-fashioned chuck wagon luncheon served, and we'll have tours of the campus, and various displays will be in the process of being set up, getting ready for the big day on Saturday, which will start again at noon. And the basic purpose for Saturday is to highlight those projects that have been going on in Kootenai County schools. And the kids have been interviewing seniors, senior residents of Kootenai County, and coming up with a variety of projects as a result of those interviews. We have murals, we have plays, we have song, we have one class making musical instruments, we have another class doing masks, we have a class that's designing its school sign that will go out in front of the school forever and ever, the next 100 years at least, and will serve as a reminder of the Centennial.
I was, really excited about the involvement of the schools with our Centennial. I'm a former teacher before I got into this elected position. But, one of the outstanding projects that emerged from a committee was our education committee. And they published and compiled an outstanding guidebook for activities to get the students excited about Centennial events, throughout the year. And that's for all grade levels. And so some of those projects that were depicted in that study guide, I'm sure, are going to be shown that day. And, one of the other groups that are a very important part of our heritage is the Coeur d'Alene Indian tribe. And they are going to participate, of course, with all of the other Indian tribes in some festivities in Boise. But they're going to kind of give us a dress rehearsal. And they'll be participating on Saturday and have some of their historic robes and some teepees. And we're really pleased that they're going to be an important part of our kickoff.
They're going to be in an encampment with the David Thompson Mountain Men Group and the Frontier Regulars. And we'll have a historic skills fair going on during the day, as well as the displays by the school kids and programs and entertainment all day long, which will be capped off with a dance that night with the 25th Army Band from Boise, as well as fiddlers and square dancing. And it's open to everybody. We wanted to make this Centennial kickoff for everybody, families, students, everyone.
Now, can you give us the date on that again?
April 20th and 21st.
Okay, and then let's move forward a little bit farther now into the calendar and go to like Memorial Day weekend. Is that, I assume, the next big celebration?
Memorial Day weekend has been entitled Fred Murphy Days, and it's been in honor of Fred Murphy, who was a local folk hero here in town. And there will be a parade, there will be a food festival, there will be a dance on Saturday night, and the marathon. Coeur d'Alene Marathon is also that weekend, as well as a fun walk by the Cancer Society.
Okay,
so
and
lots of opportunities for the people to get involved that weekend. And, you know, we're working as one of the Centennial projects to erect a statue of Fred Murphy, who was the steamboat captain on our lakes for many years and built a lot of the facilities on the lakes, the docks, and we're hoping maybe we'll have that erected sometime this summer during events.
And where do you anticipate that will be located?
It'll be at Independence Point, on a location that the city has dedicated for that. So he just really represents the Centennial spirit and part of the reason why I think that so many people have enjoyed living here and coming to visit.
Let me just interject here, if you don't mind, Janelle. Our friend, the late Tom Emerson, who's been on this program several times, was on this program not too long before he died, and he had written a book about Fred Murphy. And in fact, we have that catalog in the library for anyone who wants to listen to Tom talk about his friend, and that book is available too, and that might be something someone would want to read as an appreciation before that happens. Go ahead, Janelle.
And then moving forward from that time, from the Memorial Day weekend into the summer, what kinds of activities, perhaps we can begin with Evelyn, what is the next major activity that will be taking place?
I think that we would have big celebrations around the 4th of July. Of course, the Statehood Day is July 3rd, and our county will certainly be represented there. We have selected a couple, Gladys and Manny Schmeidmiller, to be our Grand Marshals. And we had so many beautiful people nominated for that honor from our county. But they'll be down in Boise on the 3rd, along with the float from Coeur d'Alene. But here on the 4th, we're going to have our annual 4th of July parade, and we'll have several events that will be tied in with that. And Mary, you might remember which one.
On July 3rd here in Coeur d'Alene, we'll have a noontime celebration to dedicate and honor the fact that we were a state on that day. But backing up into June, and since we're skipping around here, the Spokane Coeur d'Alene canoe race will take place, and that is the only professional canoe race in the Pacific Northwest, and it brings in Olympic quality canoeists. We'll start at Coeur d'Alene and end up in Spokane. That same weekend is Post Falls City Celebration, which they're working to build into a tradition. The Terry Heath Biathlon is also that weekend, and we're working to get the Centennial Hot Air Balloon here that weekend as well. So there'll be a lot of festivities, art shows, craft shows, races, and a variety of things for people to be involved in June. And then we skip to July, which we already talked about. There are a lot of things happening in July.
And time out.
There's not enough time.
Mary and Evelyn, it's exciting. Your energy is certainly demonstrated in your excitement here, and it's going to be a special time. And we do want other people to come in and celebrate our birthday with us. Let's talk for a moment something that just happened. We talked before on the air about there is the Ethnic Heritage Subcommittee of the State Centennial Commission. And they put together a wonderful project. Maybe you give us a little background on that, and we'll talk about when it's going to be in Coeur d'Alene.
Well, it's a photo project, imagery project that depicts the variety and the richness of ethnic heritage in the state of Idaho. And it will travel around the state for people to see the influence of the Basque and the Chinese and the German. And Jim McLeod would love it if I said the Irish and the Scotch. all of those, and I'm sure I left somebody out, but they're all represented in this wonderful, huge display.
It's 75 feet long, I understand.
I know it's huge, and it will be housed in Silver Lake Mall the last 2 weeks of July here in Coeur d'Alene, and the task force is
I will get another plug in here. The Kootenai County Task Force on Human Relations, which is a human rights group that's been really well recognized for its work for a decade of the 1980s in Kootenai County, has agreed unanimously as a board to sponsor the 2 weeks here at the Silver Lake Mall. And in addition to the display, there is an events committee within the task force, and they're going to invite ethnic groups from all over the state of Idaho to be here that 2 weeks and each day have entertainment and programs at the mall, which has just happened in the last week.
That would be so exciting. I think that'll be very appropriate for our Centennial.
Thank you.
And we're talking about ethnic and heritage. One of our projects that is a resource here for people was a result of the newspaper Centennial project, we called it. The Genealogical Society in Kootenai County researched, located, and made microfilm copies of all the newspapers ever printed in Kootenai County. And so on file at the Hayden Lake Library are microfilms for all those old newspapers. So if anybody's doing genealogical historical research, they've got a first source right there. And we have gotten calls from as far away as Scotland wanting to know information about
Al and
that.
Betty Shane did that project, and we were fortunate we got some state grants through the State Historic Preservation Association to assist, besides some money from the local county Centennial group. And it's not just the Kootenai County that we know now that they have filmed papers about. It's the large Kootenai County. Kootenai County at one time extended into 3 or 4 other of the neighboring counties. So there'll be articles and information from the Bonners Sandpoint area, the St. Mary's area, and really give a good historical perspective of all of the part of the old Kootenai County.
Thank you. Janelle Burke.
Well, a little later in this show, I want to get to the kinds of things that you have planned that will be long-lasting and that will go on past this centennial year. But right now, I want to continue to go along with what's going to be happening in August. And so, can we start with Evelyn as to what's going to happen here in August?
She's got an exciting one.
I think that we have one of the most significant events that will happen in the whole state that will be in August, and that's the Centennial commemoration of the old Cataldo Mission. The Cataldo Mission is the oldest standing building in the state of Idaho, much older than our Centennial. And we are going to have a very special event there that day. Again, the Coeur d'Alene tribe will participate, and they'll do the ceremony of the black robes, telling about the Catholic priests that came to Idaho and helped the Indians build that church. And we will have the children's choir, our Centennial choir will sing at that event. The governor will be here, and our state Centennial chairman, Harry Magnuson, the director of Parks and Rec, Yvonne Farrell, because that is a state park now. And you know, that's just a short trip from Coeur d'Alene. You can get there in about 30 minutes. And
what's the date of that?
That will be on August 12th. And one reason I'm excited about that weekend also is that, you know, we are encouraging homecomings and reunions in all of the counties during the Centennial. And I happen to be born and grew up in Kellogg area, which is in Shoshone County, our neighboring county. And that same weekend, they're going to have an all-class reunion. And so many of my classmates, I hope, will be able to go out to the Cataldo Mission and share in some of that rich history and really have some good times.
And if that's not enough on that weekend, that very same day, you can see the triathlon here in Coeur d'Alene, which is a premier athletic event. And you can see the swimmers off or do the whole race yourself and then go relax on the lawns of Cataldo. You can take in everything that weekend and have a wonderful time.
Mary is so dedicated to promote Centennial. Last year we had a Centennial team in the triathlon. They asked me, but I said I had other things that were really critical that day. But Mary and 2 other gals participated. Mary did the jogging part, and they did all right. They didn't come in last, and Mary never even run a whole mile before. So, you know, we have outstanding triathletes that are coming from all parts of the United States, and this is getting to be known as one of the best triathlons in the United States. So there certainly are a lot of things going on in August.
Let's move a little farther now into September. Are we ready for September yet, or have we covered?
We have the Farragut reunion takes place in September, and that is Al Leiser at the State Park in Farragut has been working for several years to reconstruct the history of that military encampment that was there at Farragut, and he has sent out over 5,000 invitations for anyone connected with that boot camp there at Farragut to return for a celebration, and that one is the 7th and 9th of September. And
now, if there are some people who might be watching who have come to this area because at one time they were stationed at Farragut, should they contact your office in order to get in touch so they would know when that weekend was going to be, so they could come and participate in the history and also in the reunion?
Mary can always steer them in the right direction. You know, they have had smaller reunions during previous years, and I went out last year, and I was really excited because they have a picture of each class or each group that was stationed at Farragut. And it was so fun to watch some of these people that are now in their 60s and 70s go through and find the picture of when they were here in northern Idaho. And a lot of them have moved back because they loved the area so much that they'll be celebrating our centennial while living here.
There's 70 different events, Tony. We have to do 70 different programs.
70 events and a program on each one. I'm afraid since we do this once a week, in 52 weeks we'd be through it before we got through the events. But that is really a compliment to your organization, that so much is going on. And I know that the viewers know that we're only hitting some of the highlights. But again, I want to emphasize they can contact your office and get either a local calendar. And I wanted to show this too. There's a booklet called the Calendar of Events that I'm holding up, which is for the entire state of Idaho. And I know there's a distribution of those too. And as I look through it, I can see on a weekly basis, as you go through, and I see lots of different cities across the state and what they're doing on given days. And yet, again, we'll deal with that on another program. I'm going to get into some of the same area that Janelle is wishing to get into because our time is somewhat short. And that is, I guess what I'm also impressed about concerning the Centennial for North Idaho, and that's true of the whole state. Not only are we having fun events that you've been so excited about and people can come and celebrate the party together more than one day over a long period of time, but there's some long-lasting or permanent things. You've dealt with one of them, the wonderful project of the photographs, and historians will want to go back and research that. Maybe a book will come out of that. But can you tell us about some other things? I know Evelyn's been involved in something else that has to do with something that's permanent. That's the Centennial Trail. Would you like to take us through 2 or 3 of those things? They'll be here after the party is over.
Well, you know, I was really pleased that we did receive a grant from the State Historic Preservation Group, again, to assist Frances Hurd, who's a wonderful lady that is writing and compiling a book, she hopes someday, about the history, the cultural history of North Idaho. And she received this grant and will get some capable assistance for typing and preparing what we are going to call the North Idaho chapters. And we are so excited that we can preserve her research and have it documented. So someday, Tony, that will be a book. We also have the Cultural Center that, you know, the state asked each county what if they could have a wish, what would they like to have to extend for future enjoyment. And our county selected 2 projects. We selected the Cultural Center, which is the old Burlington Northern substation that will be renovated. We were successful in getting several grants to assist with that, and we were pleased that Burlington Northern donated that building for this future cultural enrichment. And can you think of all the different people from throughout the county that will be able to take classes there on a continuing basis of all areas of interest and art and really last many, many years into the future. And the other project that was listed in the wish book, of course, for our county was the Centennial Trail. This is a 2-state project, and we did receive federal funds. Our state, it was $3.5 million, and Washington's was a little bit more expensive. Our trail, when completed, will join with Washington's at the state line and go all the way around the lake as far as the Blue Creek Bridge. And we are just excited that we'll be able to have our own people use that, but others that will come will have a way to recreate and see some of the beautiful parks that will be accessible off our Centennial Trail. So, you know, it really does provide lasting legacies, you know, because we've been so proud of our past, but we want our future people to realize some of the benefit of the excitement for today.
I see that link there. We look back for 100 years and honor those who have contributed so much, but we're also looking forward to the next 100 years, and we've brought a link between that. I think that's very wise in dealing with Centennial. Janelle Berg.
I want to ask another question about the Centennial Trail, and that is, how do you visualize or foresee that it will eventually be used? Will people be using that for walking and for bicycling? What kinds of activities do you foresee will come about because of it?
Well, you know, we are certainly in a changing society. I think that people want to be more healthy these days. people want a bicycle. And so our trail will be primarily for bicycling participants and also those that want to jog or run or walk. We tried to incorporate with our trail a trail alongside for horses, as they are doing along a major part of Spokane's. Unfortunately, we did not have all that undeveloped land right along the river. So we've had to kind of tuck our trail and move it around in areas that were available. So we won't have horseback riding. We can envision that during the winter there might very well be some skiing, cross-country skiing. It will be a non-motorized trail. There will not be, you know, motorcycles on it. But I think, you know, trails are becoming a way of life in many areas. So we envision that a lot of our people will get a lot more healthy this next century.
And Mary, can you think of something else that might go along with the things we've been talking about, those lasting things?
Well, the Living History Project will leave at least 300 oral history tapes on file here at NIC. Those students that are doing the tapes in the public schools are depositing those here at NIC. So that history will be on tape forever and ever for people to go back and research and listen to. The Fred Murphy statue, of course, will stand forever. As one person put it, that we are a community of common people with uncommon dreams. And I think that's real special that we have that. We will have the Centennial Band Shell, which is just a new project that has come about.
And where is that going to be located?
That's going to be in City Park as well, where the existing facilities are, the old green building down at City Park. I'm not quite sure what it's called. The photo collection that the museum is putting together is another traveling exhibit that they have collected more than 500 photos from people's private collections, and they will go on tour in the 7 communities of the county during 1990.
And where will they be located?
At the Museum of North Idaho.
But they will be throughout the county during 1990. A variety of places.
I was going to say, and don't forget the Mullen Trail.
Oh, the Mullen Trail.
This is the famous trail, the first major road that was built through northern Idaho. And part of our Centennial efforts have been to restore some of the statues that, of course, commemorate certain parts of that trail. Also, we have developed a brochure that gives a historic perspective of the trail and what John Mullen blazed.
And Treaty Rock and Post Falls as well. I know, Tony, we must be running out of time. You're looking at the clock.
We're looking, yes, but I just was so excited about all these events, and it goes on and on and on. I just want to say, in closing out the program, that I know the viewers that have been watching have to be convinced from your excitement and from your energy that they can't stay away, that they'll be here sometime during the year to celebrate with us.
Right. And you know, we did forget, in August, we've got Art on the Green here at North Idaho
one of our
College.
special things every year.
And what we've done is many of our annual events are just kind of blossoming out with the Centennial.
Well, Evelyn, we're going to have to let them call Mary on this because we're out of time and get more details. Thank you both. I know Janelle joins me in thanking you. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've enjoyed our program. I know you have, and we'd like to invite you to be with us again next week when we will discuss an important topic. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
North Idaho College Public Forum can be seen at the same time each week over this station. This production was videotaped earlier by an NIC student crew for viewing at this more appropriate time.